All right, let's talk about something you'd probably do, I don't know, maybe 5, 10 times a day. Something that feels like actual magic, but is really just an incredible piece of engineering. Yep, I'm talking about that super quick UPI payment.
So you're at a chai stall, right? You scan the QR code, punch in 20 rupees, type in your PIN, and boom, you hit pay. And seriously, before you can even slide your phone back in your pocket, the payment's done. It's just seamless, simple, and crazy fast.
But have you ever actually stopped to think about what's going on in those 2 seconds? I mean, how does that money literally teleport from your bank account straight into the chai wallet? Especially when you might be using, say, GPay and he's got PhonePe, and you're with HDFC and he's with SBI. It's not magic, but man, it's a seriously brilliant system.
And get this isn't some small-time thing. We are talking about over 10 billion transactions every single month. Just try to wrap your head around that number. That's billions of tiny money movements happening in the blink of an eye. You know, building a system that can handle that kind of traffic without just completely falling apart, well, that's a massive, massive engineering feat.
Okay, so to really get how this all works, we're going to use a simple analogy. Just imagine you're placing an order in a super high-tech restaurant. And in this restaurant, there are 3 main players whose job it is to get your order, which is, your money, to exactly the right place.
First, you've got the waiter. Now, the waiter is your app, GPay, PhonePe, whatever you use. Their job is to take your order, they come up to your table and you say, hey, I'd like to send 20 rupees to this person. But here's the most important part. The waiter never, ever touches the money. They don't cook the food, they don't handle the cash, they're just the friendly interface, the one who takes your request and passes it on.
All right, next up is the coordinator. This is the real brains of the whole operation. We're talking about the National Payments Corporation of India, or NPCI. Think of them as the restaurant's central command center, the one who runs the entire floor. They get the order from your waiter and act like a super efficient traffic controller, making sure your request gets routed to the right kitchen and that the final dish gets delivered perfectly. They're the ones managing absolutely everything behind the scenes.
And finally, we have the vault. This is your bank. Simple as that. The vault is the kitchen. It's where the actual ingredients, your money, are kept safe. So your bank's vault is the one that actually takes the money out of your account, and the receiver's bank vault is the one that puts it into theirs. But here's the thing. They don't do anything at all until they get a direct verified instruction from that coordinator.
Okay, so now that we know our players, the waiter, the coordinator, and the vault, let's actually follow your 20 rupees on its lightning-fast journey. Right from the second you tap that pay button.
All right, so here's the whole journey step by step. And I know it might look a little complicated, but remember, this entire dance happens in less than 2 seconds. It's incredible. So first, you hit pay, and your app, our waiter, sends the order to the coordinator, NPCI. Then, NPCI does a super quick lookup. It uses the receiver's UPI ID, which is kind of like a private phone number for their bank account, to find out where the money needs to go. Next, NPCI pings your bank, the vault, and says, hey, please release these funds, but only after you've confirmed with your PIN. Once your bank says, yep, all good, NPCI immediately tells the receiver's bank to accept the money. And finally, boom, NPCI sends a confirmation back to both your app and the Chaiwala's app, and you both get that satisfying payment successful notification. Just like that.
So yeah, it's incredibly fast, it's super efficient, but let's be real. With billions of these happening, the big question is, how is all this kept secure? How do you make sure your money is safe? Well, that brings us to your money's digital bodyguard and the secret handshake that happens every single time you pay.
Think about it. When you type in that 4 or 6-digit UPI PIN, that's the final go signal. That's literally the key to your financial vault. So the million-dollar question is, who's actually protecting that key? You might think it's your payment app, right? Well, the answer is probably not what you think.
And this right here is where the design is just pure genius. It's all about a clear separation of responsibilities. Your app's one and only job is to take your PIN, lock it up in a super secure encrypted digital envelope, and seal it shut. Then it just passes that sealed envelope straight to your bank. And your bank is the only entity in the entire system that has the key to open that envelope and check if your secret code is correct.
I really want this to sink in, because this is probably the single most important piece of the UPI security puzzle. Your app, I don't care if it's GPay, PhonePe, any of them, they never ever see your actual unencrypted PIN. They are simply a very, very secure messenger. The only one who can verify that PIN is your bank, the place that actually holds your money.
You know, there's actually a cool technical term for this brilliant design. It's called a zero-knowledge architecture, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It means the person in the middle, in this case your app, can get the whole job done without ever knowing your most sensitive secret. That's the foundation of why this whole system is so incredibly trustworthy.
So, okay, the security is obviously top-notch. But beyond that, what's the real secret engineering sauce here? What makes UPI so ridiculously effective? Let's take a quick look at the genius blueprint that makes it all tick.
It really boils down to 3 genius ideas that make this a truly world-class system. First, that simple UPI ID. It's basically a privacy shield. You never have to give out your account number or IFSC code ever again. Second, it protects you from that annoying double charge problem. You know when a payment fails and you frantically hit retry? Well, the system is smart enough to know it's the same request and will only process it once. And finally, the whole thing is built to be always on. It has tons of backup servers, so it almost never goes down. Your payment just works 24/7.
When you step back and look at it, the success of UPI is just an amazing example of what smart system design can do. It has completely changed how an entire nation thinks about and uses money. And it really makes you wonder, right? I mean, if we've basically figured out how to teleport money safely, instantly, and at massive scale, what's the next huge, everyday problem we should be aiming this kind of genius